Kate always believed that true love was something quiet, something that didn't need to be explained every day, something that simply stayed. She believed that because, for a long time, that's what her love looked like: calm, present, safe, or at least, that's what she thought. Maybe you know that feeling too. The feeling of looking at your life and telling yourself, it's okay. It's not perfect, but it's real. Kate told herself that many times while making coffee in the morning, while keeping the house in order, while waiting for him to come home. But what no one tells you is that sometimes love doesn't end suddenly. It starts to change, quietly, and silence, when it lasts too long, begins to speak. At first it was small things, so small that Kate almost felt foolish for noticing. A glance that didn't last as long, a touch that came less often, a smile that felt distant. Have you ever felt that? When someone is still there, but the connection feels gone. Kate felt it, and she tried to ignore it. She told herself it was just a phase. That work was demanding. That exhaustion explained everything. Because admitting anything else hurt too much. At night, lying next to him, Kate felt something strange. It wasn't complete loneliness. It was worse than that. It was the feeling of being accompanied and still alone. She would stare at the ceiling while he slept, or pretended to sleep, and thoughts would appear one after another uninvited. Is it me? Did I change? Am I no longer enough? Those questions didn't come shouting. They came in whispers, but repeated whispers turn into echoes. During the day, Kate smiled. She functioned. She talked. She played her role. But inside, something was slowly breaking. She began to pay closer attention, not because she wanted to doubt, but because her heart was already on alert. The phone turned face down. Deleted messages, vague answers. Nothing was proof. And still, everything felt like a sign. There is a moment, maybe you know it, when intuition starts pressing against your chest. Not like a scream, but like a constant weight. Kate felt that weight every single day. She wanted to ask, she wanted to confront, she wanted to hear that everything was okay, but she was also afraid of the answer. Because some truths, once spoken out loud, change everything. And at that point in her life, Kate still believed that love could be saved simply by enduring. She didn't know yet that she was stepping into the most painful chapter of her story, and maybe the most transformative one as well.
The days passed, but the weight in Kate's chest didn't leave. In fact, it grew. She began to notice that the silence was no longer just exhaustion. There was something different in the way he avoided certain topics. The way his tone shifted without him realizing, the way he pulled away in moments when he used to come closer. Kate wondered, quietly, when exactly everything had started to change. Was it a specific day? An unspoken conversation? Or did love simply get lost? Little by little, she tried to remember the details. The old laughter, the plans made without fear, and she compared them to now. And the comparison hurt. Sometimes, she found herself watching him as if he were a stranger. Not because she loved him less, but because she was confused. How can someone be so close, and yet so far away? Kate began to sleep poorly. She woke up in the middle of the night with her heart racing, not because of dreams, but because of thoughts that refused to rest. During those nights, she made silent agreements with herself. If tomorrow he's different, I'll stop doubting. If he smiles like he used to, everything will go back to normal. But tomorrow always came, and nothing changed. There was also guilt. That quiet guilt many women carry. The guilt of doubting. The guilt of imagining. The guilt of thinking the worst about someone you love. Kate wondered if she was overreacting. If she was creating stories that didn't exist. If the problem was her sensitivity or her intuition trying to protect her. Because there is a difference, and the heart knows it. The hardest moment wasn't realizing something was wrong. It was beginning to accept that it might be true. Acceptance means looking at pain without turning away. And Kate wasn't ready yet. But life doesn't wait for us to be ready. One day, almost by accident, something shifted. A conversation cut short. A notification silenced too quickly. A look of surprise that lasted less than a second. That was it. That small, almost invisible moment. But enough. Kate's heart understood before her mind did. And when the heart understands first, there is no pretending you didn't feel it. She didn't cry in that moment. She didn't scream. She didn't confront him. She simply went quiet. And sometimes the silence that follows suspicion is the most painful of all. Because now it was no longer imagination. It was a truth beginning to take shape. That night, lying alone, Kate felt something break completely. It wasn't love. It was the illusion. The illusion that loving is enough to be loved the same way. The illusion that effort is always mutual. The illusion that loyalty is automatic. She realized, with a calm and deep pain, that she was about to discover something that would change her life. And even without knowing the details, she was already grieving. Grieving the relationship she believed she had, grieving the version of herself who trusted without fear. And in that heavy silence, one question rose with force. If this is true, who will I need to become to survive? The truth didn't arrive like an explosion. It arrived slowly, cold, unavoidable. Kate wasn't looking for it, and maybe that was what hurt the most. She didn't want confirmation. She wanted to be wrong. But life sometimes decides to speak while we are still choosing silence. It was a detail too small to change someone's world, yet big enough to break a heart. Words that didn't make sense. A name that shouldn't have been there. An intimacy that no longer belonged to her. Kate felt her body react before her mind did. Her heart raced, her hands went cold. The air felt thin for a moment. And in that second, everything aligned. The absences, the silence, the empty answers, the distant looks. Nothing was exaggerated. Nothing was imagined. It was real. She closed her eyes for a moment, as if she could wake up from a bad dream. But she didn't. Because some pain isn't a dream. It's a revelation. Kate didn't cry right away. She went still, as if her body stayed, but her soul stepped back. There is a kind of pain that doesn't scream. It freezes you. She thought about everything she had lived, everything she had believed, every time she blamed herself for feeling, and then came the cruelest question of all. How long? How long had she been smiling alone? How long had she been sharing life with someone who was already gone? Betrayal doesn't only break trust. It breaks the story we tell ourselves. Kate felt shame, not for the betrayal, but for believing. She felt anger, not only toward him, but toward herself for ignoring the signs. She felt sadness, a deep, quiet sadness that asked for no explanation. That night, she stood in front of the mirror for a long time, looking for something. Maybe the woman she used to be, but the reflection looked different now. It wasn't weakness, it was shock. Kate realized that moment marked a before and an after. Nothing would ever be the same. And the most frightening part was not knowing who she would become from that point on. She thought about confronting him. She thought about leaving. She thought about pretending she didn't know. Because when truth appears, it doesn't come with instructions. It simply stays there, waiting for you to decide what to do with it. Kate felt the emotional ground disappear beneath her, but she also felt something new begin to form, still fragile. Clarity. Seeing hurts, but living in the dark hurts more. And even with her heart in pieces, she understood something essential. The betrayal didn't define who she was, it defined who he chose to be. And that understanding, as painful as it was, became her first step out of the darkness. After the discovery, the world didn't end, and somehow that hurt too. Kate woke up every day expecting to feel something different, but she felt the same thing, a calm emptiness heavy. Persistent, she slowly understood that pain doesn't always come in crashing waves. Sometimes it settles in and stays. There were moments when Kate felt strangely numb. Others when small things made her cry without warning. A song, a scent, an unexpected memory. She didn't try to be strong. Not at first, she simply tried to survive her own thoughts. Kate began doing something she had never done before. She started listening to herself. Instead of asking what he felt, she began asking what she felt. Instead of trying to understand his choices, she began to observe her own wounds. And it wasn't pretty or easy, but it was honest. There were days when she felt longing, not exactly for him, but for the version of life she thought she had. Because loss isn't just losing a person, it's losing an imagined future. Plans that will never continue. Kate realized she was grieving, and she honored that grief. She stopped blaming herself for missing what was gone. Stopped feeling ashamed of her sadness. Stopped rushing herself to be okay. Because healing doesn't happen under pressure, little by little, Kate began to reorganize herself from the inside, not as someone who forgets, but as someone who accepts. Acceptance isn't agreement. It's stopping the fight against what already happened. She began setting boundaries. First within herself, then outward. She learned to say no to conversations that hurt. She learned to step away from what reopened wounds. She learned to choose silence when silence was necessary. And in that silence, something different happened. Kate began to feel small moments of peace. Brief, almost shy, but real. Moments when she took a deep breath and realized she was still here. Still whole. Estiu alive. She began to understand that strength isn't the absence of pain. Strength is continuing, even while hurting. And for the first time in a long while, Kate wasn't trying to save a relationship. She was learning to save herself. Healing didn't arrive as a clear victory. It arrived quietly, disguised as routine, as ordinary days. Kate didn't wake up one day feeling healed. She woke up feeling present. Present in her body. Present in her decisions. Present in her life. And that was enough to begin. She realized she didn't need to understand everything to move forward. She didn't need all the answers. She didn't need to close every door forcefully. Some doors close on their own when we finally stop holding them open. Kate began to look at herself with more kindness. She stopped asking what was missing in her, stopped comparing herself to a story that was never hers. She understood something simple and profound. Betrayal is not about insufficiency. It's about choices. And someone else's choices do not define anyone's worth. With time, her heart began to trust again. Not another person, but herself. Trusting that she would leave if something hurt. Trusting that she would say no. Trusting that she would choose herself. Kate began to build a new relationship. A relationship with her own silence, with her own timing, with her own truth. There were good days. there were difficult days. But slowly, the difficult days stopped controlling everything. She realized she didn't need to erase the past to move forward. She just needed to stop living in it. The love she once offered to someone else returned gently to herself. And maybe that is the most honest form of healing. Not becoming someone new, but returning to who you always were. Before losing yourself trying to hold something alone, Kate moved forward. Not with urgency, not with hardness, but with truth. And if this story found you, maybe it's not by chance. Maybe it's a quiet reminder that you can choose yourself too. That pain is not the end. It's a passage, and that even after everything, there is still life. There is still strength. There is still you.